the time we finish, she will be here, join us.
She just joined us.
Okay, good morning, Natalie. Good morning, everyone, and happy Friday. I call this virtual meeting of the Utah Transportation Commission this day, Friday, February 19, 2021 at 8:30 a.m. to order. Let's start with our pledge as usual. Please all rise and look at my flag behind my desk, and I added the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United
States of America
and to the
republic
republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. The housekeeping item as usual for the virtual meeting. I would like to read disclaimer. This February 2021 meeting of the Utah Transportation Commission will be conducted electronically, will only be accessible by electronic means. There will not be space or facilities to attend the open portions of the meetings in person, as the chairman has determined that an application presents a substantial risk to the health and safety of those who may be present at the anchor locations due to ongoing state of emergency related to COVID-19. The chairman has determined that an anchor location will gather interested persons, and members of the public in a single confined location where the risk of further spreading COVID-19 are greater. Interested parties may access a live broadcast of the meetings at youtube.com/UtahDOT. So there you have it. Now let's go for the introduction. We will introduce the For those of you you're not presenting or asking a question, please turn off your mics, mute yourselves, so we do not have these echoes and feedbacks. Thank you. Now we introduce the commission in the order of the seniority. Let's start with the Commissioner Barlow. Introduce yourself and tell us your jurisdiction responsibility.
My name is Wayne Barlow. I represent the 6 northernmost counties of the state, from Box Elder down through Davis County, and my home is in Providence in Cache Valley.
Thank you. Commissioner Kramer. Commissioner Kramer, you're on. Introduce yourself, your name and your jurisdiction. Uh-oh, no voice.
Here, but not working. Sorry.
It's working now. Go ahead. It's working. We heard you for a minute. Okay, I'll come back to you. Commissioner Law.
Hi, I'm Donna Law, and I am a commissioner at large. My home is in Cedar City.
Thank you. Commissioner Evans.
Good morning, Jim Evans. I live in Orem, but I just got back monitoring Wayne's other home up at Bear Lake Valley. Was there for the last 3 days in Wayne. There's still lots of snow up there. I got tired of shoveling. I represent Region 3, which are the 6 counties in the central part of Utah, Juab, Wasatch, Utah, Duchesne, Uinta, and Daggett counties. It's always polite to be with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Van Tassel.
Yes, Commissioner Kevin Van Tassel. I live in sunny Vernal, Utah, which is now 29 degrees. Having a great time. I'm a commissioner at large.
Thank you. Commissioner Gochner.
Good morning, Natalie Gochner. I represent Region 2, Salt Lake and Summit counties, and really a pleasure to join you this morning.
Thank you. Commissioner Kramer, are you still on? You still with us? Okay. And my name is Nagi Zenadi, serving as the chair of the commission, and bring you warm greetings from sunny St. George.
Thank you.
And I would like to recognize at this time our partners from FHWA, Ivan Morero and Brigitte Mendel. Welcome and thank you for your support as always. Carlos, would you like to introduce our UDOT family, you or Lisa or Terry? I don't know who's going to be doing it.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. Carlos Braceras, Executive Director of the Utah Department of Transportation. Good morning and thank you for your time here today. I'm going to introduce the folks that don't report to Lisa and to Terry, and they will each introduce their team. So with us today, I'll start with Terry. She's our Deputy Director for Planning and Investment. Terry, raise your hand, wave your hand there at people. Lisa Wilson, Deputy Director for Engineering and Operations. Thank you, Lisa. And then from our communications office, we have three folks. Joe Walker is here. There's Joe. John Gleason, our Public Information Officer. And I think I saw Grant Potter is also online, and he's dealing with the technology behind the scenes. So with that, I'll start with Terry. And Terry.
It's cut out for a second there. It's because you're so far away, it cut out on me. So today with us from Planning Investment, we have Ben Hewitt, who is our Director of Programming and Planning. And we have, going down the list here, Eric Rasband, who is our Region 3 Planner. Heather Barthold, who's the Commission Assistant. We have Jordan Lee, who is taking care of our technology for us as we speak. We have Carrie Ann Noble, who is also technology. We have, going down the list here, we have Bob Pelly, SIP coordinator. And I think that's it for my group.
Okay, so from engineering and operations, we have Brad Palmer, our Region 2 program manager. Brett Slater, our Region 1 program manager. Norman Swanwick, Director of Construction. Cade Roberts, our Region 4 program manager. Chris Peterson, Project Development Director. Monty Aldridge, Region 4 Deputy Director. Nathan Peterson, Region 2 Deputy Director. Rick Torgerson, Region 4 Director. Rob Clayton, Region 3 Director. Rob White, Region 1 Director. Robert Stewart, Region 2 Director. And Troy Peterson, our Director of Operations.
Thank you. What a memory, every one of you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, please, Terry.
I made a big mistake again. Last time I forgot Bob Pelly, and this time I forgot Ivan Hartle. So I saw both the Ivans together, and I thought, well, Ivan's already been introduced, but I saw two Ivans together and skipped. So apologize. Ivan Hartle is on here as well, of course, because he's got a big part of the presentation. So.
But of course. Thank you, Terry. Appreciate it.
Mr. Chairman, there's also the Commission Secretary, Heather Barthold, that's on.
Yes, she was introduced. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. We would like to also acknowledge and welcome all the mayors, city managers, county commissioners, public work directors, legislators, and anyone else from the public that joined us and via YouTube or just live. Thank you and welcome everyone. Let's see, the next item of the agenda at this time will be the report from FHWA, Ivan Morero.
Well, thank you. Good morning, Mr. Commissioner, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. I am Ivan Morero. I am the Division Administrator for the Utah Division of the Federal Highway Administration here in Utah. And it's I want to thank you for giving me the time to present to you a couple of items from the federal highway side. Let me try to share my screen. Okay, before I do it, boom. Here we go. I only have a couple of slides. There you can everybody see that?
Yes.
Okay, great. So a couple of items for the commission this morning. First of all, we just got word that there is a new grant program that is available for the, well, not a new one, but another infra grant notice of funding opportunity that was just announced a couple of days ago. This one is in the amount of $889 million for the infra grant or infrastructure for rebuilding America. So the funding opportunity had been announced before, but then the new administration came in, so they kind of put it on hold for a little while they had a chance to go over it. So they've been through it, and so it has been announced. So you know, this money can be used for safety projects. It can be used for to spur economic development and create jobs. And the way the funds will be distributed, it is set up by the way the law was written. It kind of pretty much dictates how the funds are distributed, but there will be large projects, which will be at least $25 million, and then small projects, which will be at least $5 million. That's the way they're split up. And then 10% of the funds will be reserved for the small projects, and rural projects in rural areas will get about 25% of the funds, at least 25% of the funds. The deadline for the application is March 19th. And in case you forgot, back in 2018, UDOT received a grant for $25 million for the Northwest Quadrant Freight Mobility Project, which is also known as the 5600 West project. So we hope that UDOT or any of the other transportation providers in the state will take advantage of this opportunity and apply for the grants. The second one is just real quick. We got word that the SR9 down by the southwestern Utah got designated as a scenic byway by USDOT. So this is the route that it starts in at the intersection of SR9 and SR17 in La Virgen, and works its way east through to the east entrance of Zion's National Park, and goes through the towns of Virgin and Rockville and Springdale. So congratulations for getting this designation. As a result of the designation, it will be the route will be included in the Scenic Byways booklet, and it will be added to the Scenic Byway website. And there's also there's like a Scenic Byway grants program that if it is ever started up again, you know, these roads will be eligible to apply for those grants also. Let me see. And that is, okay, I'm trying to figure out how to get back to, oh, stop sharing. There we go. Okay, so that's all I had for the commission this morning. Are there any questions?
Commissioner Barlow, go ahead. Unmute yourself.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Ivan, do you recall how many scenic byways are designated in Utah?
Oh, you know, as a matter of fact, I forgot there are 9. Did have a slide for that. Let me see if I can share my, yeah, there are 9 routes. Here's the list. Here's the list of them right here. I mean, in my opinion, I think every highway in Utah could classify as a scenic highway. But these are the 9 that we have so far in Utah in the year that were designated. Can everybody see that okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Commissioner, this is Carlos. They're also shown on this. They're also shown on the state map.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where is the Trails of Ancients, Utah? I don't recognize that.
Trails of Ancients. Don't ask me.
Okay. Natalie, you travel all those places.
Yeah, isn't that going to be down Monument Valley?
Could be.
Okay.
I think we saw pictures of it yesterday, but Rick or someone should clarify that.
Okay.
Or some of us who are really ancients. Jim and I would probably say we know somewhere in Utah Valley.
Hey, Lou, I'll let you cover that.
But those are such gorgeous. Those bring back memories. Every one of those I see we've been on, and I love it. Ivan's right. Every byway in Utah is scenic. Thank you for that, Ivan.
Yes, that indeed. Any other questions from Ivan before he goes? Thank you, Ivan. Good job as usual.
Thank you very much.
Item number 3 in your agenda is UDOT scoreboard when Peterson Twins is going to be reporting this particular item. Chris, Lloyd.
You are closer. You are closer to the truth than you know, but we are not twins. But we do share the same birthday, so it's we're pretty close to that, I guess. I'm grateful to be with you this morning and to present to you, commissioners. I will share my screen now, and we'll make sure that I shared the right one. You should be seeing now the project development dashboard. You'll notice on our project delivery status, I'm pleased that our past due projects is now down to 1. I'm hopeful that next month we'll be able to have it a 0. Let's see if we can make that goal work. But I'm really pleased about that. We have 14 projects that we'll advertise within the next 60 days. I actually expect that there's a few more than that, and so we're hoping to continue to stay ahead of the curve on our advertising. Total of 631 projects that the commission has authorized for us to work on. 85% of our projects is our goal. We've increased our performance 96%. Really happy about the ability of our crews to continue to deliver our projects on time despite the challenges they've been experiencing. And since July 1, 94 projects have been advertised. Total value of $1.2+ billion. So we continue to move forward. Since January 1, there have been 15 projects that have advertised, approximate contract value of $73.5 million since January 1. And if you look at our chart regarding advertising status, I will highlight we're now in February. You'll notice that we're mostly through February. Just a week plus left. We've advertised the bulk of our projects for February, and if you'll notice the green bars in upcoming months, we're ahead of our program or ahead of our goals. Anywhere you see a green bar in front of March. So blue bars are the projects that we have continuing coming up. We based on this chart, we have 12 projects to advertise in March, 13 April, and 9 in May. So we continue to move forward, and you can't give enough credit and recognition to our teams for being able to deliver our program and to stay on task, stay on time, and make sure that we're meeting the goals that we have. So I can't give them enough credit. Currently, right now, we have about $2.6 billion worth of work under contract. I'll hub here so you know, of that 2.6 billion, 1.1 billion is not spent or not paid yet. So that's remaining work to be accomplished by all of our projects that are out under construction. 1.1 billion. Number of contracts is 164. That number goes up and down. You'll look at that black line at the top, kind of gives you a trend for how many active projects we have ongoing. That goes up and down, particularly in the winter as we close out projects and add new projects to our program. And then quickly, our contractor payments, we're now into February. You'll notice in January, we paid out $40 million over the course of the month. That's one of our slowest months, yet we still did perform quite a bit of work during that month, but obviously because of weather, that's typically a very slow month if you look back in the historic bar charts to the right. And so far this month, we're at 27 million, yet we still have several days yet to go. Now we will start to see that trend go back up as we get into the warmer months. We start moving into March and we'll start seeing a lot more work occurring on our projects. So that is the update I wanted to give you today. I don't know if there's any questions relative to what I presented or anything I haven't presented. I'd be happy to entertain any questions. Commissioner Evans, I see you raised a hand.
You know, Thank you, Chris. This is one of those, Lou brings these up a lot, but the public, just needs to know how efficient UDOT is. 1 out of 631, and you're apologizing, we'll get that one cleared up by next month. I cannot imagine a better transportation department across the US that would be as efficient and as well run as that, examples of things like that. So I just wanted to get it in the minutes that just thanks from all the citizens of Utah, the UDOT staff, for the efficiency in which you utilize our funds during COVID times. I mean, that's incredible. So thank you. I just wanted to point that out.
Thank you, Commissioner. Carlos always stresses the importance of transparency, and we're going to be transparent even if we're late on one. And
I'm pointing out the 631. It's just incredible. So thank you for the great work that you do in UDOT, all of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And that sentiments from all the commissioners. I'm pretty sure all the citizens and everybody that's using, coming to Utah, tourists and everyone else. Honestly, I've heard many tourists telling us that when they arrive in Utah, they can see the difference in the roadways, the constructions, how we manage the traffic, and on top of that, how clean our roadways look. Thank you for that, Chris.
Thank you. I can't take the credit for that, but that takes a team. We got 1,700 people working to accomplish that, plus many contractors and consultants that are part of our team. And it certainly is a team effort. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other question from Chris?
Mr. Chairman, this is Lou. I just like to also add, I hope my microphone's on this time, is it?
Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you. I'm having trouble technically. But Natalie would say that this is a key component in addition to our economy going forward. Having these men and women out there serving on the street, that is a great continuing example of how we're all working together, and it is a boost to our economy in these COVID challenge times. So I add to what Commissioner Evans added. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Chris, thank you. Good job.
Thank you.
Troy, you're on.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good morning, Commissioners.
Thank you.
Here. Is my microphone working?
Yes, it is.
Okay. I appreciate the time this morning to provide an update on the department's zero fatalities strategic goal. Let me go ahead and present here just to remind you where to find the strategic goal on our website. Okay, are you seeing the UDOT website?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. Just a reminder how you get to the.
Hey, Troy, you're showing us the agenda. You got the wrong tab.
You picked the wrong tab, Troy.
Let's see here.
You can go to the link.
My apologies here. I'll get this right here this morning. Okay.
You got it.
I think I got it this time. All right. Thank you. Apologies for, seems like I'm having some technical difficulties myself here. So yes, let me scroll down here. This is our webpage and our homepage. Obviously you scroll down here to strategic direction, and that's where we'll focus the updates today. We'll start looking at the, one thing I wanted to show you here today is an update on our, oh, come on, let me just jump to the next tab here a little quicker. On the zero fatalities piece, if you click on the zero fatalities, we'll jump to our performance measures here that we're looking at. One of the items that we've recently updated, I showed this last month as well, is our fatality rate graph that we've incorporated on our strategic page here. We've got this updated through the month of, or to reflect all of 2020. So you can see now our rate stayed steady at 0.98, which was a jump from 2019, which prior to that was 0.75. I just wanted to make note of that and just show you that update that we have that is updated through the year of the calendar year 2020. We'll jump over here real quick and talk about traffic fatalities. Just want to give you a quick update on where we are for, I'll hover over the 2021. As of today, we've had 32 fatalities, and our target for the year was is 22. And of those, of the 32 fatalities, 8 of those have been in our vulnerable users category, 7 of those being pedestrians, and 1 was a motorcycle. One thing I want to jump back here real quick and just kind of refresh you that our numbers for 2020. We had 280 fatalities. For today's discussion, I wanted to focus on some statistics related to behaviors. So I'm going to bring up a graph here that some statistics that we track on fatalities as it relates to behaviors, and you'll notice those across the chart here are drowsy, distracted, aggressive, DUI, and unrestrained. And you'll notice those are for years 2018, 19, and 20. One thing I do want to point out is in 2020, we are still waiting for some information, some reports were on the for the DUI. Those are not completely up to date, so I just want to point that out that one does look a little bit off right now, just because it's probably not going. It's probably going to climb some more, unfortunately. But the thing I want to point out here is if you look at these, this particular chart, is we've got, you don't see any real big spikes in this data. And I know there's been a lot of discussion, speeding and whatnot could be contributing. And I just wanted to point out, there are a number of behaviors out there, and it's not particular to one, especially looking at the information we have, that it doesn't reflect the same one particular behavior is causing more of the fatals out there. So I just point that out as an informational piece, and I want to talk a little bit about what we've done in the past. So our Zero Fatalities group conducted some research recently to measure our Utah traffic safety culture. I want to share a couple of interesting graphs from that research. Let me bring that up here. So if you look at this particular illustration, that from the research we did, it shows most people identify distracted driving as the top factor contributing to fatals and injuries. And then they went on to rank it speeding, impaired driving, and then aggressive driving as being the order of how they viewed the factors contributing to roadway deaths and injuries. Kind of an interesting chart there. Another chart from the report shows that most people believe and profess to be very concerned about traffic safety and feel they are better drivers than those they share the road with. Typically point a finger at others who don't give the same priority. Yet at the same time, these drivers admit to engaging in dangerous behaviors on a regular basis, including, speeding, driving distracted, and not buckling up. Quick here. Stop sharing my screen real quick. And so the reason I bring that up is Zero Fatalities is a plan to increase our communication and messaging efforts this year. We have a campaign which highlights the excuses that people make behind the wheel. It'll be launched in mid-March. And the goals for the campaign are to make Utahns aware that there are excuses for unsafe driving are costing us lives, and that we can all do better behind the wheel. And probably the final goal for that particular campaign is just to remind people to buckle up, put down their distractions and drive focused, to not speed or make any excuse for speeding, make a plan to drive sober, and do not drive while tired. And that's all I had today for an update. Is there any questions? Looks like Commissioner Evans, you might have a question for me.
Go ahead.
No question. Just once again, I really love the effectiveness of that new commercial commercial out right now where you have the people that are distracted, but they're complaining about the other people around them that are distracted, and we don't even think, you know, I think that's really true. We think it's everybody else, but we need to, it reminds us we need to look at what we each are doing. So I just, whoever came up with that, that's a really effective. At the very end, it has the older gentleman who is probably already distracted without even having a phone in his hand. So as our cognitive skills go down. So anyway, I just kudos to the team that did that. That's very effective and has made me stop and think, you know, what am I doing to be distracted? Because that's really true. We forget the phone's in our hand, perhaps, and we're thinking it's everybody else. So well done.
Thank you. Commissioner Gartner, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Nagi. Jim, I hope you don't ever play the guitar while you're driving. It's tempting.
I promise you that's one thing I've never attempted, nor never will I try.
Troy, I'm wondering if you can call up the very first graphic that you showed. It would have been on the website, but it shows the rates. And the reason I'm interested in that, I just, you know, I've been taught that small changes in rates are hugely significant. And in that first graphic that you showed, it's not a small change in the rate, it's a gargantuan. And sort of the word that I think we've learned as a commission is that 2020, and I know you addressed this, Troy, but 2020, the fatalities have gone up because people are speeding, they're driving more recklessly. But then in this report, you said there's actually a lot of other layers, you know, contributing to that. But I just wanted to hear what is our explanation for that rate graph? Okay, so thanks for calling that up. You see that it's obviously the one where it goes from 0.75 in 2019 to 0.98, defying, you know, I mean, the pandemic is changing everything, but I would just love to understand that last data point better.
So obviously it's our fatality rate calculated by obviously the number of fatalities increased in 2020. Our vehicle miles traveled went down considerably. I don't have that number at my disposal right now, how far our actual vehicle miles traveled on the year was, but that was a significant drop there, which contributed to that incline. And I think one of the things we recognize nationwide is that we mentioned that last month. It was a report put out by National Highway Transportation Safety Administration that they were seeing about a 23% increase, I believe is the number. I might be off just a little bit there on the overall fatality rate increase from the nation. And so our numbers seem to be right in line with what the nation is seeing.
Troy, if I may interject just a little bit to what Commissioner, we are startled by that increase. The marriage of VMT down and fatalities up. We're startled by that. We're very, very tempted to refer to it as a crisis, but we won't, because we feel people have been sort of crisised out right now. And to bring up one more crisis and call it a crisis is probably a little more than what the public can bear. But we are very concerned about it, which is why what Troy's talking about, we're launching a campaign. We're going to have a big event. We're creating some ads that will go both in the traditional media as well as on social media to try and highlight this and marry people's actual behaviors with their perception of their behaviors. They all think they're great drivers. That's what our statistics clearly tell us. They think they're great, and they're not. And we're trying to say, in fact, one of the spots we're creating says, we're killing each other with the lies we're telling ourselves. It's kind of in your face. Hopefully it's not too in your face, but we're trying to get people's attention. We're trying to get them talking about, okay, it's not okay. The fact, if you remember one of the numbers that Troy showed you is that people say that distracted driving is a huge problem and everybody else does it. But then when pressed a little bit, they acknowledge that 25% of them say that in the last 30 days, they've done it themselves. They've texted and driven. 25% say they've texted and driven while they were driving in the last 30 days. That's unacceptable. And we're trying to get people to take a harsh look at themselves and to say we're lying to ourselves if we think we're as good a drivers as we think we are. So that we absolutely are very concerned about that significant increase there.
Carlos.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. If I could, we need to keep this in context. So in traffic safety, we normally don't want to make any reaction unless we have 3 years of data. So this is a single data point. If you look at where we are right now, obviously the change in 1 year was dramatic. If you look back, we're almost back to where we were in '95. And if you look at the crash types that we've seen out there that have caused the delta in fatalities, those have not taken place on the high-speed roads. They've taken place on more of the local, slower speed roadways. And the other thing that I was on a panel with NHTSA last week, talking to the administrator, and there's a sense out there that with the COVID, that there was a different type of drivers that have been on the road, maybe those that have more risky type of behaviors. And if you look at the seatbelt, the numbers on fatalities associated with lack of seatbelts, that's up. That's probably the most dramatic increase that we've seen. Now, nationwide, they're feeling like there's been higher DUIs, alcohol and drug influence. Like Troy said, that's lagging. That data is lagging right now. We're going to have to look at that. So, obviously the 5 behaviors contribute to 94% of the crashes. We know that. And so we're going to try to affect behaviors. But we have not, and I believe this, we have not as a profession been able to isolate all of the variables associated with this change to truly understand what's behind it and to say surgically, this is the thing we're going to change. So this is something we're looking at nationally, we're looking at locally. This change reflects what's happening just about in every state of the country right now. And so we're putting a lot of time and thought into this.
Thank you.
If I can add one more thing, I was just notified that looks like our VMT was down 13% this year and our fatalities were up 13%. So
That's it.
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead, please.
I had the opportunity one time to ride in a car with our illustrious director, and I was the passenger, he was the driver, and the car did not move until I had my seatbelt on. I think that we should all imagine ourselves on a ride with Carlos, and then we would all behave properly.
Wonderful. That's why he's the director.
I know, it was actually a really good, he didn't say anything. He just didn't move I was gathering my coat and all my crap, and he just didn't say anything. The car just didn't move until my seatbelt was on. And that example has been a very powerful lesson to me.
With Carlos, it's not much about his saying, it's about his look. When he gives you look, that's all of it. You better learn. That's just, there will be no second chance. Either you get in the car and drive with him, or you just get out and walk. Thank you for being that way, Carlos. Any other question from Troy? Thank you, Troy. Okay, next item on your agenda is item number 4, public comments. As of this morning, we don't have any public comments forwarded to us or written or otherwise, but Carlos has graciously agreed to update us on the Cottonwood Canyon situation. Please go ahead, Carlos.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The chairman was looking for some public comment filler here, and I'm pleased to offer that. I think most of our commissioners, as well as maybe not our folks from Southern Utah, but most of our commissioners are aware that we had a very significant weather event, really started coming in before last weekend and snowed just about every day over the holiday weekend. We shut down Little Cottonwood Canyon Monday evening for control work for the entire evening. Now, we had several closures before we let people down. We closed it down at 3 p.m. Monday afternoon to do a control mission, and we shut it down on I think Saturday or Sunday afternoon as well, before we let people leave the resorts for the afternoon. But really Monday afternoon, evening shut down. The town of Alta and Snowbird went into interlodge, which means the folks cannot leave the buildings. And we started doing our control work. We did a couple missions on Tuesday. I know Snowbird Ski Resort Patrol ran 2 different control routes that day as well. Road didn't open Tuesday, Wednesday. We got it open yesterday, 3 o'clock, I think is probably the time we had free flow traffic in both directions. And so our crews were up there early this morning again with all types of equipment, removing the snow along the shoulders, along all the access points, and big event, over 100 inches in 6 days. So it was a big event on top of a very, very weak snowpack. And so, we're hoping that, it's hard to say that I want the snow to slow down because we're so dry and we're still well below our snowpack totals, even to have a normal year. And we needed to have well above a normal year to be able to start to catch up a little bit on our water. Because most of the runoff is going to just go right into the soil and not going to make it to our reservoirs this year with what we see today. So it's hard to say I want it to slow down, but I do. I want the weight now to start to settle, and we can start to hopefully compress that weak layer, the faceted snow that is now 6-8 feet deep in the snowpack. And if we can start to compress that, we can start to gain some strength in the snowpack and make it safer, obviously, for the people on the road, but also safer for the people that choose to go into the backcountry. So amazing people, Mr. Chairman, our folks that work in the mountains, they work a lot of hours, and they work 7 days a week most of the winter to be able to keep these roads safe. So thank you.
Thank you. Would you like to elaborate, Carlos, on the technique and technology we use to control the avalanche, just briefly, please?
Okay. Historically, and it's still a technique that's used around the world, is we use artillery. And we have several artillery locations where we are firing into slide zones, areas that have historically been called the starting zones for avalanche. And so it's Korean vintage equipment and ammunition. We have bunkers. In fact, some of the commissioners may remember we ran you up to one of our gun mounts on the Peruvian Ridge, right between Snowbird and Alta, 2 summers ago, maybe. I think it was summer of 2019, to show you that one of those locations. So we shoot artillery. We use hand charges, 2-pound hand charges that you'll put into your jacket, and use a big long fuse, usually a 90-second fuse, and throw that into starting zones. Our guys are all mountaineers, so backcountry skiers, mountain climbers, and they go into some pretty amazing spots. We also have some higher technology, some Gaz-X, so big propane tanks up in those slide zones, and we have igniters, so we can ignite an explosion above the snowpack in various different slide zones. Obelix, which is almost looks like a little R2-D2 unit that will helicopter in and locate in a slide zone. And there's others that look more like a lift tower almost, and can swing charges out over the slide zones. And so those are very efficient for us. We can set them off with laptops from the trucks that the team has. And we're moving more in that direction. The commission has been great to support some of those efforts. We're continually encouraged by the U.S. Army, who actually owns the artillery, that as much as we can transition from using artillery to some of this newer technology would be a good idea. And so we continue to make those installations through the summer to try to keep the roads safer. And quite honestly, we can do those control missions a lot faster with that new technology. So,
Carlos, could you just restate the statistic that you gave us yesterday about Little Cottonwood Canyon and avalanches?
Avalanche risk, yeah. So Little Cottonwood Canyon is, really order of magnitude, the highest avalanche risk road in the world. And now that takes into account more than, because there's certainly roads that have bigger mountains right next to them, and receive more snowfall. But the other item that really pushes this over the top is the amount of exposure, the average daily traffic that goes beneath these slide paths. And so it is considered the highest avalanche risk. And if you recall some of the presentations in the Little Cottonwood Canyon EIS that we're working on avalanche mitigation techniques as well. And all those alternatives included snow sheds to be able to protect, because the big slide paths, the ones that took the longest to clear, are what we call mid-canyon slide paths. And so, the proposal is snow sheds at those locations, and that it'll still keep this at a very high avalanche threat, but it'll lower it quite a bit if those are part of the solution that's implemented.
Any other question from Carlos? Thank you, Carlos, for filling in the blanks of the public comments and then important reports on the Cottonwood Canyon. On the message section, we had Bridget Mandel also referring to Troy's report. Is it possible that some things related to the pandemic that are difficult to quantify, maybe contributing changes in sleep patterns, mental health issues, increased stress, etc.? Troy, any of those could be the possibility of some of these behaviors?
I think any of those could possibly be factors, right?
Okay.
Yeah, and then Mr. Chairman, if you couple that, the other variable is, we had a, fairly dramatic decrease in transit use. And so did we have normal transit users that are now traveling by automobile? I mean, there's a lot of variables that need to be taken into account. So I think this is going to be something we're going to be learning from for years to come.
Okay. And also regarding the public comment section, I have Myron Lee, Executive Director of the Dixie MPO, would like to express appreciation for all the work UDOT is putting into its STIP process this year to select the most appropriate projects for future funding. Thank you. That comes from Myron Lee, Dixie MPO Director. Thank you, Myron. All right. Next item of agenda is the consent agenda. And I think that Ivan Hardos will be presenting that along with the STIP amendment number 5. Ivan?
Good morning, Mr. Chair, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Our first item this morning is the consent agenda located in the minutes. Included in this packet is the staff update meetings for January 21st, as well as the January 22nd commission meeting. It's included in the packet. And the last item included on this is a list of projects that we're either adjusting to award, a budget recovery, or a budget closeout. So the first section was the staff update. The second section is the minutes of the commission meeting on Friday the 22nd. Included all the items discussed, as well as our last item, the projects returning funding. Notice today we're not closing out any projects. We do have 4 projects adjusting to award, where this money will go back to these programs identified on the right hand side of this list, and then a budget recovery on 1 project. Going back up to the top, our request today is a motion to approve the adjustments to the projects in the included table and approve the January 21st staff update and January 22nd, 2021 commission meetings minutes as detailed.
Mr. Chair, I move for approval of the consent items that were just presented to us. This is Commissioner Evans.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Any further questions, comments? I would like to exercise the chair's privilege on this minutes. You notice that he went quickly over the minutes, but if you take time to read these minutes, it warms my heart to see how beautifully written, dedicated, detailed, meticulous And Heather silently sits behind the scene every time and prepares his minutes. I would like to express on behalf of Commission our really appreciation and love to Heather Barthol, our Executive Secretary for the Commission. She
Amen.
is wonderful. The time that we used to have the staff meeting, you remember that he checked everybody out when you got out of the bus and checked everybody in. She checked everybody in when she came back. Remind me of our cattle drives that we used to go to Arizona Strip. We have to count every one of them going on the truck, every one of them coming back to the truck. And if you didn't get all the cattle, then you're in trouble. You all day, you got some kind of chastisement. So Heather, thank you for working so hard to keeping us really organized. And our appreciation and gratitude goes to your husband Garrett, to your children Ethan and Austin, and to those adorable puppies that you have in your home. Thank you, thank you. Without you, we will be lost.
Oh, thank you very much.
I adopt those comments into my motion.
Thank you. So we have a motion and a second. Without any further discussion, then we will say, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Minutes are approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving to item number 6, the STIP Amendment 6A1, US 89 milepost 495 brake check area is a new project located in Region 1. This project is to widen the pavement on US 89 to create a mandatory truck brake check lane above the area where recent truck runoff road events have occurred. This will be prior to the escape truck ramp. The new brake check area will provide operators of large trucks a location to do a safety check of their vehicle prior to the descent to Garden City. The project is being funded with Federal Highway Safety Improvement Program dollars. Located here west of Garden City on US 89. Our request today is a motion to add the US 89 milepost 495 brake check area project to the current STIP as detailed.
Barlow will make a motion to approve.
Evans second with a question.
Go ahead, please.
So is that just right? Just before you get to the new the truck ramp area, and how far up is it? There's that Shendahay there. Is it kind? I'm just trying to figure out where that's at for my own curiosity.
I will phone a friend with Region 1 and let them talk through that.
So Commissioner Evans, this is Rob White. Yeah, it's kind of past the first section of hills and curves, but it's before the next downgrade. There was a feeling that that many truckers after that first set of hills and turns think that they're done and they're fine, but there's still some pretty serious grades between there. So I would say it's probably about a mile upstream of that uphill, I guess, of that truck escape ramp.
So perhaps just below Bridgerland there, where the home. I'm kind of looking at the map there, and I'm just curious. Thank you. I think I can see where that's at with the Bridgerland subdivision roads there. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I have a question.
Go ahead, please.
Is it common to set up brake check areas, and do you expect any, and maybe it doesn't matter because of course our job is safety, but do you expect any resistance from the trucking community?
That's a good question, and it's hard to say. Typically, I don't think you'll see resistance anytime that there's an opportunity to improve safety from a truck. And as a former truck driver, I would welcome any time that there's an opportunity. Now, the question is everybody going to use it? And I can say that the answer to that is probably not. And but by law, it's mandatory. It's a black on white regulatory sign that will be placed prior to this this brake check area. So it's required by law. And obviously, as we know with our behavior discussion that we just had on the deadly behaviors, people can choose to obey it or not. But it is a law and something that we definitely would think improves safety for this particular situation.
Hey, Rob, is this similar to the one that's up above Lake Town as you head down into that canyon, and also above Brigham City as you come down before you come into Brigham City? Is that what this type of thing is?
Yes, yes, and actually there's one at the top of Parley's also, and it's similar to the one at the top of the grade, right as you come over the summit from the canyon over up on top. That one at the top is very small and can only accommodate maybe 1 or 2 trucks. This one's going to be much bigger and be more appropriate and be able to park several trucks there to be able to check their brakes prior to finishing that final grade down into Garden City.
Thank you.
Plus, UDOT has put a number of, or well, at least one new sign there to alert drivers that brake check area is upcoming when you're eastbound.
Any other questions? Okay, seeing none, all in favor of this particular project, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next item, item 6A2, is local government in coordination with Wasatch Front Regional Council, 1300 East Wayne's World to Nashi Drive in Draper. It is an increase of funding for $800,000. The original scope of this project was to widen the roadway from 2 lanes to 3 lanes, adding curb and gutter, sidewalk, intersection improvements at 1300 East and 800 South, and reconstructing the existing pavement. During the design phase of the project, it was discovered that the existing asphalt was in better condition than anticipated. The city is requesting that the existing pavement not be reconstructed, but instead construct a 2-inch mill and overlay. Draper City has also requested extending the limits of the project down to Highland Drive and reconstructing the existing T intersection to include a high T, which is the raised median intersections, which will improve safety and mobility. By reducing the scope and pavement and expanding scope as detailed above, the project will need an additional $800,000. Wasatch Front Regional Council has agreed to add additional $500,000, and Draper City will add the remaining $300,000. On the fact sheet, it says the request today is contingent upon the approval of the Transportation Coordinating Committee meeting from Wasatch Front Regional Council on February 18th, which occurred yesterday, and this item was presented and approved. Located here on our map, the blue line here is the existing project limits. The request is to extend that down into Highland Drive. Here's what the Highland Drive intersection would look like, the green being the raised median that was discussed. Included in the packet is the Draper City funding request letter as well. And our motion today, our request is approval to add funds to the 1300 East Wayne's World to Nashi Lane Draper project as detailed.
I'm Wayne, this is my world, and I move for approval.
I'll second that.
This is Commissioner Gochner, and this is my area, so I will second that.
Well, thank you for being that way. Appreciate it very much. Any other questions, comments?
Just a quick one. Has there been any public comment on this at all? It looks like a good plan, and the maps have been very helpful, but I'm just curious if the public's weighed in, because they often do.
I am not aware of any public comment that occurred through Wasatch Front or Draper City at this time, but we can ask and I will follow up with you, Commissioner Long.
Yeah.
Or Commissioner Kramer.
Go ahead.
That'd be it seems to me to be a great thing. And that area, as we know, is growing and busy and all these other things. I'm just curious that we ought to get credit for some of the things we do, because we get credit for a lot of things people don't like us doing. So it'd be nice to think that this was getting some public support, but obviously the regional council support and the Draper City support is critical. But I just question of curiosity, but thank you.
So Ivan, did we get approval from the Wasatch Front yesterday then, or was today?
It was yesterday and it was presented and approved.
Okay, thank you. All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other questions, concerns? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 6A-2 is approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 6A3 is the I-15 northbound Bangor Highway to 215 project. It's a request to add $7.5 million of additional transportation investment fund. The increased project funding will cover an upgrade striping that will be more visible during night and wet weather conditions, some unanticipated right-of-way acquisitions, and the increased right-of-way market cost. Located here on our map on I-15 between 215 and Bangor. And included in the packet is a picture of a previous project that included the high visibility striping. You'll notice up here in the upper left-hand corner where the striping goes from, you can see it a little bit, to it's very, very predominantly marked and visible. That is the high visibility striping that will be included on this project. Our request today is a motion for approval to add funds to the I-15 northbound Bangor Highway to I-215 as detailed.
This is Commissioner Law, and I will make that motion.
Thank you.
Commissioner Gachner will second it. Can you remind me the amount here?
7.5 million.
Okay, I second it.
I have a question, Ivan. I really like this a lot. This is when I stay with family up in the area. This is exactly how I travel. And I've had a couple of scary moments actually of getting from Bangor onto I-15 during rain. I find that I can't find the lines and I don't know if I'm in the right place. I think I'm not a distracted driver, but I appreciate the high visibility markings, maybe particularly the older I get, and maybe it's going to help other people who are uncomfortable driving in the dark feel more safe and be able to find the lines better.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Is the high visibility striping like a tape that is applied rather than paint? Or what is the technology that's used?
I'll phone a friend. It looks like Robert's available for us.
Yeah, Commissioner Barlow, that is exactly it. It is a tape. It's a product that's a manufactured tape. There has been research for many years. This is a problem that's been a big challenge for striping for a number of years. Since 2002, at least, when I was in research, we were investigating this. We are looking at high visibility, wet reflective paint, and it's really about the glass beads that go in the paint. But this product that we're looking at on northbound is a tape, and it's the same product that we've applied on the southbound, or we will be applying on the southbound project as well.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, please.
Mr. Chairman, it's Lou again, and Commissioner Kramer again. I know that Terry and Lisa would be disappointed if I didn't mention that on I-215, that the signage above the roadway at exit 6 and others still are on the high impact list because skiers are going up there and they're seeing signs that I'm frankly embarrassed every time I see them. And now that Jason Davis is working there every day, I'm sure he's feeling the same way even more intently. So I put that in there, and I wouldn't be doing my job on signs if I didn't. So that's a comment, but you certainly have my vote on this motion.
Well, thank you.
I would just add, Commissioner Kramer, that we do have a project right now that's underway to replace all of that signing with high visibility signing. So we are addressing that.
Thank you, Rob. I know it's coming. I'm a very patient man, but I have constituents who have my phone number. So thank you. Thank you for that.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Seeing none, all in favor of this project, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Item 6A-3 is approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 6A4 is SR 135 and SR 129 Pleasant Grove Boulevard to US 89 located in Region 3. It's a request for a new project. These sections of pavement on SR 135 and SR 129 between Pleasant Grove Boulevard and US 89 are in need of pavement mill and overlay. Region 3 proposes to program this project with unprogrammed high volume pavement funds. Located here on our map, see the blue the blue line indicated here and here. Our request today is a motion to add the proposed project, which is the SR 135 and SR 129 Pleasant Grove Boulevard to US 89 project to the current STIP as detailed.
This is Commissioner Evans. I move for approval of this.
Van Tassel, second.
Thank you. Any other questions, concerns, corrections? Seeing none, go ahead, please.
The comment that I'd make is this area 10 years ago was pretty well in agriculture. Now it's pretty well converted to real estate development and housing and businesses. And this is a very busy intersection.
Yes, it is. Thank you for the comments. All in favor of this project, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Item 6A-4 is approved. Thank you.
Thank you. 6A5, located in Region 4, is the Mathis Bridge Widening Project. It's a request by the City of St. George to abandon this project. The city looked at ways to widen the existing structure with Federal Highway Safety Improvement Program funds obtained through UDOT, combined with their local funds. However, there is an existing 36-inch diameter regional wastewater line located on the upstream of the bridge under a large power transmission line. The sewer line, due to its significance and size, cannot be taken out for commission at any time. The purpose of this project was to provide safer travel over the bridge for pedestrians and vehicles. After analyzing the situation further, it was determined that it may not be feasible to construct, or that it may be feasible to construct a pedestrian bridge just upstream of the main bridge structure, which may be used also to suspend a new sewer line. This in turn may allow the bridge to be widened, which would accomplish the purpose and need for the proposed project. The city funding has not been allocated at this time for this potential new project change. Once this occurs, the city may choose to submit a new application to UDOT for potential Highway Safety Improvement Program funding. Shown here on our map. Our request today is to a motion to abandon the Mathis Bridge Widening Project as detailed.
I'll make the motion to do this.
Okay. I give the motion to Commissioner Law and the second from Commissioner Barlow. Any other questions, concerns on this particular project? Is it straightforward? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Item 6A-5 is approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next item, 6A6, located in Region 4, the US 89 Jensen Lane Turn Lane Project. It's a new project funded with Highway Safety Improvement Program dollars and the local government. Jensen Lane ties into US 89 just south of Manti. It often experiences higher levels of traffic than most local roads due to Palisades State Park, the golf course, and 6 Mile Canyon. In the last 3 years, there have been multiple crashes specifically related to the turning movements, with 2 of those crashes resulting with fatalities. Sanpete County has approached UDOT in an effort to improve this intersection and will provide $450,000. The improved intersection will provide a southbound turning lane and a northbound acceleration lane. These lanes will increase safety at this intersection by separating mainline traffic from turning traffic along US 89. Located here on our map, this is 89 south of Manti with Jensen Lane going to Palisades State Park. And a visualization that shows what this improved intersection would look like with the southbound turning lane, the northbound acceleration, and again for orientation going north to Manti, south to Palisades State Park. Our request today is a motion to add the US 89 Jensen Lane turn lanes project to the current STIP as detailed.
I'll move to.
And I'd second that. We love the partnerships where we're able to match, use some of the local funds. So it's great to see this here.
Yes, indeed. Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Item 6A-6 is approved. Thank you.
Thank you. 6A7 is SR 118 culvert replacement project near Austin. This is another request to abandon a project. The purpose of this project was to replace the dual 4-foot diameter culverts with a larger box culvert that is consistent with the county's culvert system. This would alleviate debris buildup and ponding at the pipe entrance and allow high water to flow freely under the highway. Region 4 presented this project to the commission in January of 2020 with a project value of $500,000. After being funded, the project team discovered the construction and utility costs have increased significantly due to the complexities of the design and location of the box culvert related to the utility lines. The current estimate now doubles the project cost at $1 million. UDOT recommends that this project be abandoned at this time.
I'll make that motion.
Okay.
Oh, that was probably premature because you hadn't shown us pictures.
That's okay.
Commissioner Governor, I'm happy to second this.
Me too. Okay, got it.
All right, there's a motion and a second. Any other questions, concerns?
Yeah, Commissioner Evans, just a question. So because of the things you mentioned, it's just have to be abandoned. That still means there's an issue there that one day will have to be fixed, or what? I'm just trying to make sure I understand by abandoning this and not doing it at this time, what that means for long range.
Commissioner, this is Monty Aldridge, Deputy Director for Region 4, and I can address that for you. It's a great question. And yes, what we did is we looked at the cost that we typically would spend on a given year to make sure that we have it maintained and cleaned out during high flow events in the spring. And we just decided it just wasn't fiscally responsible to spend that amount of money when we can place a backhoe there and just go make sure that we go out and keep it cleaned. We can maintain this for decades before we would ever get to $1 million mark. And so we just decided it's a better approach to be more fiscally responsible, to take care of it with a little bit of maintenance each year as opposed to that capital expenditure.
Wonderful. Thank you. I just, knowing there's an issue, I was wondering how you're going to deal with that. Sounds perfect. Thank you for that explanation.
You bet. You're welcome. Thank you for the question.
Thank you, Monty. Any other question? Seeing none, all in favor of this project, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you. Motion, let's see, item 6A-7 is approved.
Thank you. Item 6A8 is the Region 4 Culvert Program. It's a new project, Phase 10. This project request is to replace 6 culverts that have deteriorated, silted in, or damaged along a short length of SR 14. By repairing these drainage features, the risk of flooding and roadway damage is minimized. The existing culverts need to be completely removed and replaced. Additionally, this project will repair the road surface where it is removed to replace the culverts. Located here east of Cedar City on SR 14. We have a couple of pictures of what some of these silted in culverts look like, or debris filled. Our request today is a motion to add the proposed project, which is the Region 4 Culvert Program Phase 10, to the current STIP as detailed.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, that's your world, right, Donna?
It is my world.
Barlow, second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other questions, concerns, comments?
Ivan, can you just restate where the funds are coming from?
These funds, so the majority of these funds will actually come from the project that was programmed in Austin. So that funding will be moved, and the balance will come out of the transportation solutions.
Excellent. Can I just share? So I spent some time with our fantastic Region 4 director talking about some of these projects where funds like the Austin money are being repurposed for something like this. And I likened it, you know, the Food Network shows where you get a basket and it's a basket of leftovers and you can repurpose it to make a meal, or it can be leftovers that go in the garbage. And I just really appreciate the frugal fiscal responsibility that we have here. You know, if the projects don't cost as much as we expected, then we hold it for a minute and then we figure out the best way to repurpose it and accomplish some of our needs in our communities and stuff. And I just really, that might be a bad analogy, but I'm good at bad analogies. So that's just something that I really appreciate about how we look at things. And I suspect that happens throughout the state. But poor Rick's the one who gets stuck with me to try to answer my questions and deal with my, yes, bad analogies.
Thank you for that, Donna. Monty, do you have any comments?
Yes, I would just like to say that I really like this. As you can see, that's phase 10 of our culvert project. So we've been doing this for quite a while in Region 4. And when I had the honor of working in Salt Lake a couple of years ago, for a few years, you know, one of the things that we looked at a lot was corridor risk. And one of the primary methodologies that we can reduce corridor risk is with these culvert type projects. Those came out as some of the most cost beneficial projects that we can do to reduce risks on our corridors from an asset perspective. And so I appreciated these previously when we were doing them when I was in the region. Now that I'm back in the region with a little more understanding, I really appreciate them that much more. And so I just wanted to share that with the commissioners about how great these projects like this are.
Thank you, Monty.
So Nagi.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, so Nagi, this is Rick Torgerson. Back to kind of Donna's comment, the next several projects, as well as the ones you've seen, are really a truly responsibility of Kate Roberts, our program manager, of managing the program and getting money off of projects when we receive good bids or when construction is complete, getting the money off and getting it reallocated to projects as quickly as we can to get the next set going. Kind of back to Donna's analogy, you know, get it moving as quickly as you can so you don't potentially waste the funding. So the next several you'll see with Cade and Monty are projects really relative to that.
Okay. Thank you, Rick. Thank you for explanation. Any other question from any of those individuals?
This is Commissioner Evans. Just in general on projects like this. This is definitely great to improve the road and keep it longer. Going up a canyon like this where it's 2 lanes, it's pretty busy during the summer with people going to the beautiful spots up there. Do we, how long is it, just roughly ballpark, how long does it take to do something like this where you maybe had to reduce it to 1 lane, or while you're doing one's half of the road at a time? Just for me, I'm just curious, this a pretty quick project you can do when you do these culvert replacements?
Yes, Commissioner, it's a good question. A lot of that depends on the depth of the culvert, how long it takes. You can see these are fairly shallow. And sometimes it also depends on whether or not we can line them. One of the things we look at initially is, can we line one of these culverts with a couple of different methodologies where we don't have to dig it up. And so if we do have to dig it up, depending on the depth, we can usually get a culvert installed in a day or two, depending on that depth. And so we don't impact the traffic for too much at each location, that is. And if we are able to put a liner in it, then we don't have to dig it up at all. And so we usually would just take a shoulder and maybe not impact the lane entirely.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Seeing none, all in favor of this project, say aye.
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 I need more than that.
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? Item 6A-8 is carried. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next item, 6A9, the US 89 East Toadstools Passing Lane Extension. Located in Region 4, the Toadstools Passing Lane Extension project was identified a few years ago as part of a corridor study along US 89 from Page to Kanab. The corridor vision is to create passing lanes each direction to get closer to a 2-then-1 system of passing opportunities. There is currently an existing passing lane in this location, but is very short, approximately a half a mile in length. This project would extend the passing lane 1.5 miles eastbound. Current traffic continues to increase yearly as Lake Powell and other areas around Big Water continue to become a popular attraction. Current traffic diversity of slow vehicles pulling a boat, regional freight, and other traffic traveling through the area create poor passing opportunities from Kanab to Page, Arizona. This project would allow for relief of queuing and thus help alleviate the temptation to pass along this corridor. Shown here on our map, here's the project location. The direction reference of west to Kanab, east to Lake Powell, Big Water. And the visualization, the existing southbound passing lane and the southbound passing lane extension. Our request today is a motion to add the US 89 East Toadstools Passing Lane Extension Project to the current STIP as detailed.
So moved. This is Commissioner Kramer. I've been on that road many times. This is needed. Good move.
Van Tassel, seconds.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any further discussions, questions, comments? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Item 6A-9 is approved. Thank you.
Thank you. 6A10 Region 4, the Rural Intersection Left Turn Conflict Mitigation System. Throughout Region 4, there are intersections that have safety issues due to traffic stopping in the travel lane to make left turns onto an intersecting road. The approaching vehicles often are surprised by the stopped traffic and either create a rear end crash or a near miss by using the shoulder if available. Traditionally, the solution is to build turn lanes to get vehicles out of the traveling lanes if stopping. However, these can be expensive per location with all 4 turning movements costing between $1.5 to $2 million on average. The Rural Intersection Left Turn Conflict Mitigation System is an innovative way to use technology and provide a solution that will provide a warning to the traveling vehicle that a vehicle is stopped ahead and could help eliminate a potential crash. This technology uses radar and advanced warning signs to provide additional communication. This solution costs less than building turn lanes in the rural locations. The exhibits below are examples of where the warning systems are being used in Washington State. Region 4 will work with Central Traffic and Safety for the design and installation of these devices and anticipate deploying these at these intersections. The US 191 the US 191 Sand Island Road intersection, SR10 Rock Canyon Road intersection, SR 117 intersection of SR 132, and the US 89 Snell Hollow Drive intersection. The layout is this, showing the traffic sensor location and the stop and the vehicle stop warning signs looking like this as a design with the digital sign option. And this is what it looks like from Washington State. Our request today is a motion to add the rural intersection conflict warning system to the current STIP as detailed.
I'd like to make this motion.
Okay.
Carlos, second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Rick, do you have any cost analysis or anybody that how much is going to cost each one of these signs?
Commissioner Donati, this is Cade Roberts.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, Rick.
No, go ahead, Cade.
We are looking at, this is a significant cost savings from that 1.5 to 2 million that you see if we were to improve the intersections. The sign system and sensor system should cost somewhere between $100,000 and $150,000 depending on location. And so this is our attempt to, as I think it was Commissioner Gochner that made mention of this yesterday, a phased approach to see if we can fix the issue with a smaller cost, smaller impact, and then react if it doesn't, but hopefully it does. And we spend this money correctly up front rather than just jumping to the major fix.
Okay. Thank you. Any other question from Cade? Go ahead, Donna.
Again, I had a little time with Rick to discuss this, but I think about, like when you're on Highway 89 going into Ogden and you have those few intersections, and you get that warning in advance that by the time you get to the light, it's going to be red. You get the yellow flashing light. This does that same kind of thing, just in this rural setting that we otherwise wouldn't be able to, we wouldn't otherwise know. And so I think this is a really great step towards some safety for this kind of activity.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions? It's a great savings. If we can implement it and save that kind of money and save lives, why not? So all in favor of this project, would you please say aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 6A-10 is approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next item, 6A11, it is a scope change, a name change, and a funding change to the US 89 Mount Carmel to Orderville passing lane. The current project was approved in the April 2020 during the 2021 STIP workshop meeting as part of the Region 4 Transportation Solutions. The current scope would add a passing lane from Orderville to Mount Carmel. Further examination of the US 89 corridor in cooperation with the local government as part of the Solutions Development Planning Project has brought to light higher priority solutions in this area. It is proposed to change the scope of the existing project, add additional funds, and change the project name. The new scope will include improvements in Orderville by extending a two-way left turn lane from Jensen Lane to 100 West. The two-lane left turn lane will allow locals to turn onto local streets while travelers and tourists traveling through the town will not have to stop for those turning movements. Additionally, it was discovered that a better passing opportunity was available by extending an existing southbound passing lane near the Coral Pink Sound Dune State Park access road. This intersection will also be improved by eliminating one of the two entrances, adding a northbound left turn lane and a northbound acceleration lane. All improvements would provide additional capacity, increase safety, and reduce friction between local traffic, tourists, regional travel, and recreationalists. Shown here on our map. With an example of the proposed changes. Our request today is a motion to approve the scope change, funding adjustment, and project name change to the project as detailed. And again, it was the US 89 Mount Carmel to Orderville passing lane, changing to the US 89 Orderville two-way left turn lane and Sands passing lane extension.
Well, at least we're not trying to put that into an acronym that we have to remember.
I was afraid we were trying to change the name of Orderville, and I thought that was not going to work. So I certainly support that. There's more and more traffic there as the east side of the Zion National Park, and it's a beautiful part of the world. So let's do it. Yes, I so move. If that, I should have said that first.
I'll second Lou's motion.
Okay. Kate, did you have any problem with the local leadership or community public for the eliminating the second entrance to the sand dune?
So that's a good question, Commissioner. This actually is spurred from, as it was stated above, the solutions development process, which includes the locals. And they pointed out some really important things to us along the section that we had picked for a passing lane. Because yeah, there is some definite need for passing down here due to the difference in types of traffic with the tourists versus locals. And they showed some issues that we didn't see. And so it was a good discussion, and that's why this adjustment's being made, because of that discussion with them, also with the data that we do have. And we made the change in hopes that, well, not just hopes, but they have our support and we have theirs with this passing lane project.
Okay.
Good.
So Nagi, real quick. So we have talked to the Kane County Commissioners. They want us to come down in a commission meeting and discuss this the Coral Peak Sand Dunes entrances. So we will be doing that. In general, they seem very supportive of it because there are zero turn lanes at those locations right now. But we still have a little work to do with the commission to address the Coral Peak Sand Dune entrances.
Yeah. We just want to make sure we have dialogue with them before we go to the process of doing it and finding that they are not in cooperation. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Item 6A-11 is approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next item 6A12 is in coordination with UTA for a new project. On November 30th, 2020, the Federal Transit Administration announced competitive grant funds to 6 projects in 6 states for the real-time infrastructure and rolling stock condition assessment demonstration program to support infrastructure innovation and safety in the transit industry. The Utah Transit Authority, UTA, will receive funding to develop an optical imaging system to monitor the conditions of the regional commuter rail system. A fully developed program will help UTA maintain a state of good repair and provide long-term monitoring of track and rail tie conditions. UTA is requesting to add this project to the current STIP with $338,155 of funding through FTA and then the $84,539 provided by UTA as the match. This item was presented and approved in a tip by the Wasatch Front Regional Council on January 28, 2021. Our request today is a motion for approval to add the project to the current STIP as detailed, and the project was the Polarized Infrared and Optical Imagery System for Transit Coordination Assessment, Public Transportation Innovative Program.
Do we have anyone from the UTA to explain these 2 items to us what they are?
We do. We have Alma Haskell with UTA available to answer questions.
Would you please, Alma, explain a little bit about these 2 items that you propose, this description of that, please? We know what it is, but please explain what exactly do.
Yes, the optical imaging system, it looks at the surface temperatures and things that way of the rail. I don't know the exact details, but University of Utah Research has a system together with the vendor from Europe, Autofill, who has very good imaging technology. And with that, they can tell a little bit easier without going out and shutting down the system to inspect the track. They're going to see if they can inspect the track on a rolling basis, either on our operational vehicles or on another vehicle that can go out at a higher speed. So this is to demonstrate and research whether or not this is a good method for inspecting track, and if it gives us the same results as some of the other more time and impactful inspection methods are.
Okay. And this will be just used for all the rails throughout the state of Utah?
This is for Utah Transit Authority rails. It'll most likely be on our front runner system to start to do the research and demonstration. And then if it is a more productive way to do it, then we'll look at expanding.
Okay. Any more questions from Alma? Please ask while he's here. Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Alma. Appreciate it being here with us. So we need a motion on this item, please.
I move for approval. Commissioner Evans.
Okay. So I have a motion and I need a second, please.
Fantastic seconds.
Okay. There's a motion and a second. All in favor of this UTA project, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Item 6A-12 is approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Our last item, 6A13, I-80, 1300 East to 2300 East, and the I-215, 33rd South to 45th South. It's a funding addition request and a funding remove request from the I-15 Pages Lane to Lagoon project. Shown here, the request is to transfer $23 million from I-15 Pages Lane to Lagoon to the I-80 1300 East project. The scope of the I-80 1300 East project is to remove and replace existing concrete pavement, remove and replace the I-80 bridges at 1300 East, 1700 East, and 2000 East. Add a fourth lane in the eastbound direction from I-80 from 1300 East to I-215. Widen the I-80 eastbound bridges at 2300 East to accommodate the additional eastbound lane. Proposals for this design build procurement project have recently been reviewed, and projected costs were found to be higher than funds available. The higher cost appeared to be due to maintenance of traffic requirements and construction cost escalation. The region requests to add $23 million to this project value. Approval of this request will allow the project to be awarded. The additional funds would be reallocated from the I-15 Pages Lane to Lagoon project. The department will return to the Transportation Commission with a request to return funds to this project as funds become available. Located here on our map, this location. Our request today is approval for the funding changes to the I-80 1300 East to 2300 East, and I-215 33rd South to 45th South, and the I-15 Pages Lane to Lagoon project as detailed.
Barlow, move for approval.
I'm happy to second it, but I want to second it with the record showing that this is, I think, the first Transportation Commission meeting where we've had both Wayne's World and Lagoon in the same meeting.
We supported both of them. That's cute.
Can I ask a question, Mr.
Yes,
Chair?
please. Go ahead.
So do we have an idea as to the timing of this particular project and the Pages Lane to Lagoon element? How far this puts that project off and what are the ramifications of that?
Got Robert Stewart with Region 2. Let him answer the first part.
So What was the question in regards to timing of this? Was it in
Yes.
the I-15 pages lane? So, so this project, the timing of the I-80 project, we're right smack in the middle of the procurement process. We hope to award the project very, very quickly. Design will progress and construction will occur over the next 2 seasons, with the date next fall or fall of 2022 for the completion of it.
And then because we are moving money to this project, what are the ramifications of delaying the other project?
So I can speak to that. This is Rob White, Commissioner Law. I can speak to that. This project is in, currently we're working on an environmental study for this section.
Okay.
And the project that was that we're moving the money from was actually kind of a pavement project within that section, but we feel that it wouldn't make sense to do that project and then just come back a few years later and completely reconstruct, which could be the outcome of this environmental study. And so we wanted to have a little bit more time to do the environmental study before we went in and spent that much money on pavement, redoing the pavement on that section of road. So it made sense to kind of wait a little bit for that one until we see what the final product of the environmental study is going to be.
Thank you. As you answered that question, it's yet another example of being able to have a plan but be nimble as needs arise. And I just really appreciate that about the work that is done at UDOT.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Mr. Chairman, just Commissioner Van Tassel, this I-80 project is in a very difficult situation. I mean, geography and right-of-ways and things. It certainly is the one, as I come in from Merle to Salt Lake, this is probably the roughest part of the travel, and it's definitely a need to be done. So I'm very supportive.
Thank you. Yes, we have all traveled that road and we know. It will be a happy moment when by the time we finish the project. Any other questions? Seeing none, all in favor of this project, number 13, Lucky 13, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Item 6A-13 is approved. Ivan, thank you.
Thank you. And if I could, just going back, I think I feel comfortable speaking a little bit. Those of us that are lucky enough to stand in front of the camera here have the pleasure and blessing of having a great support staff behind us. And Commissioner Kramer asked a question about the public comment that was received about our Wayne's World project. And I've already received messages in response back. WFRC did receive several public comments about this project. 2 were specifically requesting how this project would impact their property. And the rest, several others, were all in support of adding sidewalks and the other improvements to this project. So we did receive the public input on that project.
Thanks, Ivan. Great.
Thank you for that comment.
Yeah, very helpful.
Okay, Ivans, you can rest now. Thank you for the wonderful job as usual.
Thank you.
Item number 7 on your agenda is proposed revisions to new transportation capacity projects. And of course, we have, as usual, the famous Ben Hewitt is going to be presenting that item. Go ahead, Ben, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning, Commissioners. So this item today is a for information only item this month on proposed revisions to the new transportation capacity prioritization process document. So the first proposed revision is just a technical correction, and it is to correct some inadvertently swapped weightings in the document. In the TIP highway section. We discussed this one yesterday at staff update. This was just a swapping of these weightings in the actual document. It was not in the underlying model to this document, and it was during the last update that we did in October on this document. So this is just to correct that inadvertent swapping of those weightings. The next item is to revise one of the measures in the TIF active transportation model. It is to move from using data provided by Strava, which is generally a smartphone application that people can track their active transportation, biking and walking, and move from that to using a latent demand model approach that the planning group has been working on in collaboration with others for quite a while.
Ben, would you please explain why you switched from Strava to latent demand approach? The reason behind that?
Yeah, sure. There's a couple of reasons. One of which is Strava recently changed some of their business model, and it changed the way that we have access to some of the data. And I think one of the other reasons is there was always some questions about using a smartphone app that only a certain subset of people may use to measure volume. And so the thought was to switch then to this more latent demand model approach, which looks at who might want to use active transportation facilities based on some characteristics of the area of the proposed project.
Okay. And this particular project is expandable, can be expanded and make more of the data available to UDOT?
Yeah, this one looks at, it takes a statewide, it has statewide applicability, and it's a model approach where they can look at existing data wherever the proposed project is and apply this latent demand methodology to that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And then the last proposed revision is another technical correction where we had found that there was a incorrect label on one of the measures in the Transit Transportation Investment Fund first mile, last mile model in the pie chart. So as the team was looking through that, they noticed that there was a little error on one of the labels. Here again, it was just in the document. It doesn't affect any of the underlying model or rankings. So those are the proposed revisions in accordance with the applicable administrative rule and our previous practice. We bring this today as a for information only item with the intent of coming back next month to request approval of these items, allowing anybody to take a look at it, ask any questions or clarifications in that time period.
Anybody
that's all I
have
had for today.
Ben, any questions, comments, anything down from Ben before he leaves?
I just appreciate that there's color.
Yes, indeed. Thank you, Ben. Thank you very much. Okay, that concludes all of the agenda items. Next item on the agenda is the commissions, committee reports. So if any of you have had opportunity to attend your committees, would you please raise your hand and report about the assignments you had and what happened? Otherwise, I will report on my position. Go ahead. Donna, do you have anything?
I do not.
Commissioner
Kevin
Barlow?
does.
Go ahead, Kevin.
I attended the Wasatch Front Regional Council, and we saw those programs that they passed on yesterday come forward. So that is up and working, and it's a good process, and just let you know that happened.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else? I myself attended the Dixie MPO and also the Community Impact Board. This year, for the first time, Dixie Transportation Expo was held virtually. And as usual, was successful, and thanks to committee members and of course exhibitors. We had 16 booths and 384 registered guests. Of the 384, 298 attended to virtual meetings. It was beautiful setup, and I know that they were hoping for their live expo as before, but waited until November to make that decision because they were hoping, praying that the governor will give them some kind of new revised amendment saying that yes, you can open, but they didn't. So by November, they had to get consultants, interview them, and by December 8th, they find someone and they get the website and all the events booths and everything in place. So by the time they got to the point of getting everybody registered, it was a really good success. 384 compared to about 900 that every year that we get in live attendance. So thank you for the committee members and exhibitors for that. And also Community Impact Board, we had the 12th of the February is a funding trimester. 12 major project was funded, including the new visitor center on the East Zion for $15.5 million. So UDOT and Region 4 will be busy soon to get the designs going for the roundabout and visitor center on that section of the Zion. So those are my report. Our next meeting, we were hoping again to have it in southern Utah, sunny St. George, Washington, actually. We had set up the Washington mayor and their facilities, but unfortunately, it's not going to happen. We're still going to have the virtual. But compared to today's meeting that has been a 1.5 hour that we promised the Commissioner Garland is going to be a quick one. The next one, please prepare yourself for 3 hours of at least meeting and workshop. Bring your goodies, munchies, drinks, whatever you're going to bring. I promise to give you breaks in between. There you go, Donna. One of those has to be a big size. So please prepare yourself for 3 hours of discussion, heavy discussion for the workshop next month, which is going to be March 18 for the staff meeting, March 19 for the commission. Any other items need to be brought before commission? Commissioners, anything you've seen, you've heard, you would like to share? Carlos from the UDOT? Okay.
No, Mr. Chairman, we're all set.
All right.
I just want to again thank the snow cruiser. The plows are out there early in the morning. As always, this is the greatest ever, and helped me get to the airport one morning this month. So thank you for that. We sure do appreciate you all. And Carlos, I know and Linda and others are fighting the good fight up on the hill, and we appreciate that as well. We're here to support in all ways.
2 weeks left.
But who's counting?
Exactly.
And again, to all of us in the commission, to all of the UDOT family, all the federal highway partners and mayors and county commissioners, our effort is not to compel everyone to do everything, but to encourage everyone to do something. So they just work together in harmony. Let us work together to bring about the best for the state of Utah, for our communities. Be patient. We will deliver. I promise you that. All these commissioners sitting over here, they have not been called and appointed just for their good looks. They know things, they dedicated, and they love their states, and we love them. Thank you. With that, I need a last motion to adjourn, please.
Barlow so moves.
It's not debatable. Thank you. Have a wonderful weekend, everyone. See you next month. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.